So today we'll talk about effective communication. Okay. And from my experience, communication is the most talked about topic, yet it's the least mastered skill. And what do I mean by that? So communication, like everybody's talking about communication. There are like so many classes, so many workshops. There are so many speakers, leaders, YouTube videos, and everything. But still, people lack in communication. Like in general, they don't understand communication. What is communication? So like when I asked you guys, communication is not just about just speaking. It's not about writing. It's much more than that. It's about understanding people. It's about having that emotional connect. Everybody should be able to understand you. Okay, and there are a lot of aspects which I'll cover today. Shubham,
Sir, to attract anyone.
attract anyone. Okay, how about Arpita?
To express our ideas.
Easily able to network, will
Okay,
be able to network with other people and get their like contacts, which will be useful for us in the future. So basically, to be able to network.
okay. And the other Arpita, Shirke said to express ideas. Sukanya,
Yes.
So to make them understand the one with whom I am speaking, I want to make them understand what my idea is, and also I want to learn how to speak in a form.
okay. Cool. So now everybody, I think these are all very good answers, and that's what it's very important. Before we say what is communication, we want to understand why is it so important. Okay, and people say it often, but they don't apply it. And I'll tell you one thing: communication is the most important skill in your life. Compare it with anything. I'll tell you that communication is the most important. Even if whether you're an engineer, you're a singer, you're anything else, that communication skills will set you apart. Like you don't remember the best singer, but if you remember, like you remember Sonu Nigam because he's a great singer, but at the same time he's a good presenter, good communicator as well. So, or whether you're an engineer, even if you're a technical guy, you don't communication doesn't mean that you have to go and give a speech on stage every single time. Okay, it's not always like that. It's about when if you're an engineer, you're communicating to your team members or your immediate boss. That is important in any job. If you don't communicate properly, like if you're a chartered accountant and if you're not communicating the advantages or the actions you're taking to your client properly, then it's not going to work. So communication is going to be the most important skill in your life. So start working on it today if you haven't. So first thing is it's the most important skill in your life. Second is it will give you success at work. Like if there are two people who are equally good, that communication skill is going to set you apart. People who can communicate go higher up in a company. They are the ones who become the vice presidents, the managers. A non-communicator will never take that position. So if you don't work on that skill right now, that then it's going to be a problem later because then you'll be an introvert, you'll be underconfident. So that's why if you want to be successful at work, communication is very important. And whether you are a CEO, whether you are just an employee, at any point, communication is very important. Okay, cracking interviews, like you're giving job interviews, you're giving college interviews, MBA interviews, everywhere. That is another place where like it is going to be extremely important, right? Another one is like your happiness at home, which people usually ignore. Like if you communication is not just about going outside, bahar jaake logo se baat karna. It's about communicating with your loved ones, whether it's your parents, your child, your husband, or your wife. Communicating with them, understanding them, and you'll see, like you'll be like, ये communication कहाँ से आया? मतलब ये तो नहीं होता है. मतलब पेरेंट्स से कौन कम्युनिकेट करता है? लाइक वी डोंट स्पीक इन इंग्लिश, आई एम नॉट प्रेजेंटिंग टू देम, बट कम्युनिकेशन इज अबाउट expressing yourself properly so that the other person understands. Okay, so that's why it is very important. Your happiness at home, you'll realize it later, like long after, like once you're married, or even after that when you have kids, you realize how communication is very important to actually make everyone understand what your point is. Okay, and avoid conflicts at home. And then nowadays, obviously, you can make money also online, working from home if you're a good communicator. Okay, you can talk about a lot of issues online, communicate those issues, and you can have a lot of subscribers and views and everything to make money. And I have some examples later on which will help you understand, okay, what are those examples I'm talking about. And another thing is like it's a key aspect of your personality, which is one of the most important things. Communication is more important than your looks. I would dare say that as well. If you if you're good looking and if you're a good communicator, people will eventually, in the long run, choose a person who is a good communicator, right? So that's why this is the reason. First of all, you have to understand this is the reason we are focusing so much on communication. Keep that in mind. It's the most important skill in your life. Most great quote which I actually heard yesterday. Like the universe is made of stories, not atoms. Like obviously scientists say that universe is made of atoms, right? Which is scientifically true, no doubt about that. But what I'm talking about is everything you remember about universe. What is it? Like जब अपना independence हुआ था, like today's Independence Day, right? You haven't seen, you were not present at that time, but how do you remember all of this? You remember because somebody told that story. Okay, it's obviously not exactly what happened during that time. It's not exact. Stories about whether it's Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, or everything. These are all somebody said told those stories, right? So, and if you go far back, it's all about stories which people told those stories, and that's why this quote is very important. I really like it. So then we get into what is communication. Okay, very simply, it's just exchanging information. Very simple, and you can go online and find all the definitions. I also did the same thing, and this is what I found, which is you have to keep this in mind. Okay, this is very theoretical, but I think it is very important to understand this, and I don't expect you to understand it today. आज का आज मैंने ये 7 पॉइंट बताया और तुम लोग समझ जाओगे. If you say you understand it, I know that you're lying 100%, because even I have to implement these things every single day. It comes from practice. But these things are very important. So I'll go over them one by one, okay? And I'll also tell you at the end, how do you implement these things in your life every single day? And I'll share the slides with you so you can go through these things and you can apply it when you speak. You can apply it when you are writing something. Those are the two things where you'll be applying this majorly, okay? So first is clarity. You have to be very clear with your message. Extremely clear what you're trying to say. Very simply, you have to put. I have an example later. Okay, you have to be concise. So exam में हम लिखते हैं बड़े answers to get more marks. That's not going to help you in future. Okay, you have to be concise. Nobody, like for example, you are presenting something to your boss. Okay, and if you are you're just speaking for like 20 minutes and explaining just a simple thing, they'll lose attention. So you have to be very concise. Okay. Then you have to be correct. Like you cannot just say that passing percentage for SSC in 2020 was 100% when actually it's 98, or in 2019 you say it's 99% when actually it's 78%. So you have to be factually correct. So every information you are presenting now, you make sure you have to correct, and along with that, it has to be complete also. You cannot present just half information. कि मैंने half story आप बता रहे हो. जैसे if you're talking about independence also, you're talking about just half story that okay, yes, only you're talking about who gave. Let's say you're writing a report for who got us independence, right? You cannot just give the half story that yes, Mahatma Gandhi was the one who did it, right? You also have to acknowledge everything else, what everyone contributed in different manner. So that's why that completeness is very important, because your audience is going to be very varied. So you have to make sure कि आपने पूरा topic का complete information किया, whether it supports, like even if you are in favor of कि Mahatma Gandhi was great and he got his independence, which he very much did, right? But you have to make sure कि जो बाकी जो contributors थे वो field में, उनको भी address करना बहुत important है. It's very easy to आप अगर personally महात्मा गांधी को favor करते हो ना, तो you'll make your content all about Mahatma Gandhi. But people who are listening to you, people who are reading your content, they need to have the complete picture. So that is very important. So completeness is that. Consideration is another important thing. Like you have to understand everyone's perspective. That is one important thing. Right now, अभी आज जितने भी लोग मिलते हैं, including almost all of our parents, they are very biased. के like मोदी जी तो मोदी जी, या कांग्रेस तो कांग्रेस, या फिर you guys have a particular opinion about maybe a game कि यही game है, बस यही अच्छा है, or a particular TV show, or whatever it is. Everybody has an opinion. But a good communicator is one who understands others' opinion as well, right? If somebody, one person likes religion, okay, and the other person doesn't like religion, so तुम उसको सीधा ignore नहीं कर सकते. You have to understand that other person's perspective. That is called giving that person consideration. You're considering that person's opinion. That means you're respecting that person's opinion. That is very important. Okay, so we talked about consideration, and then concrete is like whatever your objective is, you have to it has to be very specific what your goal is. Okay, and then courtesy is again very similar to consideration. But so now we talked about these 7 points, right? How do you won't remember them, okay? what I would suggest is, like, let's say you're writing a speech, or you're writing any blog, or you're writing anything else. What I want you to do is, after you're done writing, just go through these points. Take a screenshot. You don't have to remember these points, but the way you will implement these is, you will, next time you're communicating something, you're making a video, or you're giving a speech, or you're participating in a debate, just make sure after you've written your speech, you go through these points. Is it clear? Is it concise? Is all the information correct or not? Is it complete? I'm covering all the perspectives. Am I considering the audience and what they are looking for? Like, you cannot, like, go to people who, teenagers, and explain them about, let's say, like, financial situations in India. Like, they're not interested in that topic. So you have to understand that audience, right? And then, having a different viewpoint, you have to take everyone's perspective. So that those are the things you can consider. Okay, now the theory ends here. Now we won't go a lot into theory. Now we'll go very practical. Okay, I know theory is very boring, but you have to remember these things. You have to check your content. Once you are done with it, you have to, this is basically going to be your litmus test. Okay, now types of communication, just very simply, there are like 4 different, like spoken or verbal. It's very simple. That's what I'm doing right now. Non-verbal communication, anybody can tell me what do I mean by non-verbal communication?
By books.
So I already covered that into written. So all the written
Actions
what actions?
like
Body language.
Sign language.
Eye contact,
Eye contact, yes. More. So see, I can
facing
body language.
give this
Christians.
topic like this. Communication is very important. There are 4 types of communication. There are 7 C's of communication: clarity, content, creativity, consideration, completeness. Like, I can speak like that, or I'm like really engaging with you guys. Okay, communication, it's very important. It's the most important skill. Like, you see the difference. Like, these are the things everybody does. From what I've read online, there are like 70% of your communication is actually non-verbal. Like your emotions, how connected you are to your audience, your hand motions, okay, your passion about it, your voice tone which you change, right, your muscle movement, your overall personality. Those are the things which we don't think about. Okay, you don't have, if you don't have those, somebody comes on stage and they show that confidence, automatically audience is like, okay, wow, I think this makes sense. If they're passionate about something, this makes sense. So that's what you have to do. Those non-verbal skills, you have to work on those as well, and I have tips on how you can improve those as well. So that's why the reason I had this slide was to tell you that there is something called non-verbal communication, which is very important. Okay, written, you guys know, books, blogs, all of that, right? And visualization is like, whether it's through painting, or that is also very important type of communication, whether it's through blogs, like when you think of McDonald's, what's the thing which comes to your mind?
Their logo.
Their logo, exactly. That, or that joke, it's Ronald McDonald, but that's the image which comes to your mind, right? So everybody has portrayed that image. So that's like a communication which is more in a visual format. That is very important. Then we get into, now this is where I'll get into tips. Okay, so make sure you're listening to them, right? So these are the things which I'll say what makes a good communicator. Okay, so first is very simple skills, right? Okay, I'm starting with these skills, but these are not like the only skills. I think that if you, I'll point out some, you can take these tips and implement for you guys. This is what I've come across in my experience. So what makes a good communicator? First thing is, obviously you have to get your English right, or whatever language you're speaking. Okay, it doesn't have to be English, doesn't have to be, like, it can be Hindi, it can be your mother tongue also. Obviously your audience will be different in that case, but you have to get your language right. Language right means your grammar has to be right. Okay, all the basics of your language has to be right. Like, you know basic words, basic sentence structure, all of that. So all the grammar which you're studying right now, it is extremely important, because at once you are like 25, 28, you're speaking to your friends, or more or worse, you're speaking in a business setting and you're making mistakes. Like, I'll tell you the mistakes which I used to make a lot. I was a very poor communicator, and I still am. I'm still learning every single day. Okay, even from this presentation I'll learn something. So I used to say, I went there, or I didn't. When I say I didn't went, Okay, when in past tense, when you're saying I didn't go there is the right term, but I used to say I didn't went there. So I was using that structure incorrectly, right? So that was very like embarrassing for me. But those are the things which I'm giving you this example because you have to get those right. So all the grammar you're studying now, if you're not finding interest in it, then you have to find a way to get interest. I have some links which I've shared at the end, which you can use to improve on that. But your grammar, you have to get that right. It's like 1+1 को आप 3 बोल रहे हो, like 25 years के बाद. Like you have to get those basics right. ठीक है, कैलकुलस में मिस्टेक होगा, दैट्स फाइन, आगे जाके. बट 1+1 को अगर आप 3 बोल रहे हो तो वहां पे पूरा अपना इज्जत का कचरा हो जाएगा. So that you have to get it right. So your basics grammar, okay, थोड़ा advanced grammar भी होता है. I still make mistakes every day. I use अभी तो lot of automation is there, so I use assistance from there, sentence structure वगैरह. So that will happen. But you have to make sure that you're getting your basics right. Okay, basics right, your English knowledge right, and I'll also tell you how you can improve on those. How you can become a better communicator. How can you get the correct format, like the grammar, the English, all of that. How can you get that right? So that I'll talk about that. Okay. The second thing is be knowledgeable. Okay. Nobody, even if you're a great communicator, but if you don't have the knowledge about the subject now, then it's nothing. You have to have knowledge about that topic which you're speaking about. That is one thing which people don't take it over. Okay, yeah, you are a great communicator, but everything you presented doesn't make any sense. You're saying random numbers. India's population is set 10 billion, and India's GDP is the best. India's GDP is 33% of the world. You can say all of that, and you can say it with a lot of confidence also. But all of the things which you presented is incorrect. Or you are in a debate and somebody is talking about a particular topic and they presented a statistic, but you are not knowledgeable, so you don't know कि वो सही है गलत है. So you cannot tell them that or challenge them that okay, it's right or wrong, right? So you have to be knowledgeable. So that's why whether it's following, just reading news nowadays, I personally don't like news, but like reading those blogs, like all the content you're consuming right now, most of it is if you're following like just random, like all these, I don't know, music videos or just like game videos or whatever. Sure, you can consume that content, but you have to make sure you're consuming good content as well. I have links for those also which I have added. But that is very important. If you don't start accumulating, or knowledge will accumulate. धीरे धीरे you have to accumulate that knowledge. एक दिन में नहीं आएगा. एक दिन में आप पढ़ के knowledge नहीं ले सकते. So keep that in mind. If you want to be a good communicator, you need to have knowledge. It's not just about speaking in English. That these are the things I was saying earlier. Communication is not just about कि आप English में बोल सकते हो. Like somebody here can unmute and speak a very good sentence in English, but it's not about that. That is very important. But on top of that, you have to have a good knowledge about a particular subject, right? Third is what makes a good communicator. This is where that practice thing comes in. Okay, now Sukanya had a question about that practice. How do I practice? Okay, I'll tell you specifically practice कैसे कर सकते हैं, but it comes from practice. Everybody who's a good communicator now, they are not natural. Okay, they have a natural personality and confidence that can come naturally, but that also people have to work. But good communication comes from practice, and only practice. Okay, anyone here who thinks is not a good communicator, I promise you, if you practice for 6 months or a year, the result will be amazing. Because I have done it. All these slides, all the points I've written from my personal experience. Okay, my English was very poor because till 10th standard I was in a village in Rajasthan. Okay, very poor. Because of that, my fundamentals were very bad. Then 11th, 12th also I didn't work. Confidence was low. All of that. Okay. Then engineering I got, and then also like not so good. Okay. Then before going to US, I was preparing for GRE. That's where I did a lot of practice. Okay, and that's when after that practice I realized, okay, yes, I improved a lot. Okay, there is a lot to learn, but remember this thing: if you don't practice na, it's not going to come automatically. कि आपने English के exam में 99 लाया, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है you're a good communicator. Okay, and don't, all these points I'm saying, इनको अलग से मत लेना कि yes, practice is important. All of them combined is what gives you that impact. All of them combined. Okay, so practice. Then comes another thing is knowing how to manage that stress and anxiety. Okay, that's one thing which actually बड़े लोगों को ढेर कर देती है. तुम्हारा अगर कुछ speech है या कुछ है तो you're like anxious. It's important to be anxious. Okay, because that actually they'll make sure that you're revising your speech or whatever you're writing, you're checking your content, you're making sure that what everything you're putting out there is well done. जैसे आप अगर exam में भी है तो आप revise करते हो, all of that is important, but you have to manage it, control it. Okay, it should not take over you. And there are a lot of ways, like I would just say Google करना, but what I personally use is क्या हो जाएगा, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या हो जाएगा. Okay, all of you guys, जितना आपको इज्जत का है ना, और टीनेजर्स सबसे ज़्यादा इज्जत का प्यार टीनेजर्स को ही होता है, बेसिकली योर एज, उसके बाद किसी को नहीं होता है. बड़े बड़े लोग जितना इज्जत का तुमको है ना, उतना इज्जत का मेरे को भी नहीं है. स्मॉल थिंग्स यू थिंक, अरे मैं ये करूंगी या ये करूंगा तो इट विल, व्हाट विल अदर पीपल थिंक, इट डजंट मैटर एट द एंड. इट डजंट मैटर. वो लोग चार चीजें हंस के ले लेंगे. इफ यू हैव गुड कॉन्फिडेंस, दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, बट जस्ट डोंट लेट दैट स्टॉप यू. ओके, सो उससे स्ट्रेस मत लो, उससे एंजाइटी मत लो. एक्सेप्ट इट, हाँ ठीक है, बट मुझे तो करना ही है वैसे. ओके, अगेन इसके बारे में बहुत कुछ बात कर सकते हैं, बट आई एम नॉट गोना गो इनटू डिटेल, बट यू कैन सर्च बाय योरसेल्फ व्हाट यू कैन डू, राइट. Another thing is, you remember this, right? Like in Three Idiots movie, Amir Khan says, instruments that record, analyze, summarize, organize, debate, and explain information that are illustrative, non-illustrative, hardbound, paperback, jacketed, non-jacketed, with forward introduction, table of contents, index that are intended for the enlightenment, understanding, enrichment, enhancement, and education of the human brain through sensory route of vision, sometimes touch. Remember that scene?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What is he describing?
The book.
Exactly. So that is very important. Like I remember this using, and this is not just in communication, everywhere it applies. It's called the KISS principle. Okay, some people say keep it short and simple, some people say keep it simple, silly, like whatever. It's very easy to remember from KISS, right? Now this will apply everywhere. This goes with that conciseness is very important. Okay, you can say books or you can say this statement. Every day when you're writing email, you can say a very long statement or you can concise it into a smaller statement. Now, how do you learn about this? There are two things. First thing is you use something called reduction, the process of reduction. Basically, आप sentence लिख दो पूरा जो लिखना है, बाद में उसके अंदर से एक एक चीज निकाल के देखो कि अगर मैं निकालूंगा तो इसका वैल्यू कम हो रहा है क्या, नहीं तो मत डालो वापस. अगेन रिड्यूस करो, एक बार लिख दो पूरा, फिर रिड्यूस करो उसके अंदर, या फिर दो सेंटेंसेस को ज्वाइन करो, दो वर्ड को ज्वाइन करो. वेरी गुड की जगह उसको निकाल के एक्सीलेंट लिख दो वहां पे, वैसा. ओके, दो स्टेटमेंट्स को कंबाइन करके एक कर दो, वैसा. अगेन ये सब प्रैक्टिस से आता है. यू हैव टू प्रैक्टिस दीज थिंग्स. Okay, you have to practice them, and that's how you'll implement this. But always keep in mind the process of reduction. How do you simplify anything? Remove things from it, like whether it's your outfit also, like बहुत कुछ पहन लिया सब कुछ, and you want to look simple. Okay, Indian society में simple जैसा concept exist नहीं करता. Simple बोलेगा तो बोलेंगे अरे गरीब है ये, ऐसा कुछ बोलेंगे, right? So वो एक different है, but anywhere you want to be simple ना. So that's where like you remove, like whether it's an outfit also, okay, I'll try to remove this and see if I'm looking better or not. In products also, when you're building products, what does Apple does that. Apple's products are very simple. Okay, उन्होंने सारे बटन निकाल दिए, they're like, yeah, still working very well, तो उन्होंने वो iPhone invent कर दिया वैसे, right? That's the process of reduction. उसको simplify करना है. Similarly, आपके communication में भी when you're speaking ना, you have to keep it very simple. Okay, then comes pay attention to the non-verbal signal when you're speaking to somebody, and like especially in your age it applies very well. Like especially like you have crush on somebody, right? Verbally nothing is going to happen, it's all non-verbal. You guys all know very well, like you have to, and this is a good example. Okay, so in general everywhere, like you have to understand the non-verbally लोग बहुत ज़्यादा बोलते हैं compared to verbally वो जो बोलते हैं जो आपको सुनना है, non-verbally वो बाकी सब बोलते हैं. So a good communicator, a good listener is one who observes all of that. You have to observe that. That is extremely important. क्योंकि बहुत लोग आप in your life when you come across non-verbally वो लोग बहुत चीजें बोलेंगे when you're negotiating with somebody or when you're presenting your idea. Like let's say you're presenting your idea to me, I'm like, yeah, it's great, and my expressions are just not, I'm not resonating that passion which you have right now. तो वो देख के आपको पता चल जाएगा. That you have to read very well. You have to read the room. वो चीज skills, again it comes with practice, it comes with experience. Other than practice also it comes with experience. आपके experiences क्या है, आप कितने लोगों को मिले हो, वैसा. And that's where the more knowledge you consume, the more people you meet ना, उतना ज़्यादा आपके लिए helpful होगा. Okay, Then comes which is very similar is the engaged listener. How do you become how do you know people whether they like how do you pay attention to non-verbal signal? One of the thing is you have to become a very good listener. Okay, and this is one of the least mastered skills. Okay, uh, and again, like I honestly, when I present things and I don't have those skills, I feel sometimes, okay, you know, I have not mastered it, but I'm still telling people. But I think it's fine. I have this knowledge. I am still implementing it, but I can tell you guys also to implement, right? Listening, people don't listen. In especially Indian society, nobody wants to listen to someone else's perspective. किसी को सुनना नहीं, सबको बोलना है, क्योंकि बोलने वाला सुनाई देता है वैसा. But if you'll end up in an intellectual audience where your friend circle are intelligent people who value knowledge, who actually value the knowledge you have, the intelligence you have, if that is the case na, then you are just speaking without listening na, eventually either तो तुम उनके friend group से बाहर हो जाओगे या फिर they'll deep down they won't respect you. So that's why every time somebody is saying something na, unko listen to them carefully. Like don't do two things at a time. Don't check your phone or don't do anything else. Listen to them carefully. You have to choose whether you want to listen to them first. एक बार वो कर दिया ना, decision किया ना, then you have to listen to them carefully. Okay, pay attention to their expressions, their tones, वो क्या कर रहे हैं, कैसा है, वो एकदम normally बोल रहे हैं, are they passionate about that? Those are the things which you'll miss अगर आप carefully नहीं listen कर रहे हो तो. You have to make sure the audience को आप confidence दे रहे हो. And audience आपको confidence दे रहा है. Like when you are listening to a speaker, be supportive of them. So they'll be able to express even better. And that is one of the reason I want all of your videos on so that I can see you guys. Okay, it's actually difficult to manage video because I want to see you guys also and I want to present because I want to see whether you guys may, if I'm just speaking or you guys are actually interested. So that's why it's very important for me. Okay, then you should not have judgment about people. Like don't make judgments. It's a very satisfying trick, but it's very bad. Like it's very satisfying to make judgment. अरे देख उसने मिस किया वहाँ पे, अरे उसका ग्रामर गलत है या अरे ये इसने जो भी बोला गलत है, ऐसा. Don't make judgments. Be supportive. आप support करोगे, वो भी आपको support करेंगे eventually. Just having that nature is very important. So don't be judgmental and provide feedback to that person. Like अगर आपका friend अगर कुछ speech दे रहा है, तो उनको feedback दो ऐसे constructive feedback. So that's how they'll improve and your habit जो ये आपका होगा, you'll also be able to receive feedback सबसे. Okay. Another thing which is very important is this will also come from practice is thought structure. Like when you're writing something, you have to lay it out properly. Like एक movie imagine करो, right? अगर एक horror movie और सबसे पहले उन्होंने बता दिया कि murderer कौन है, thriller movie और उन्होंने पहले बता दिया who's the murderer, and then they're telling the story. That's very bad way to present, right? Similarly, कोई भी हुआ, मतलब अगर romantic movie और बता दिया कि हाँ, well romantic movie में तो पता ही है शादी होने वाली end में, so there is no thrill over there. But एक movie जब directed होती है तो कैसे वो लोग properly plot by plot रखते हैं. So आपको पता है कि हाँ मजा आएगा वैसा. Similarly जब आप कुछ लिख रहे हो, जब आप कुछ बोल रहे हो ना, plot बहुत important है. Okay, कि आप कैसे वो रख रहे हो, आपका thought structure कैसा है, आप उस कोई भी आइडिया को अच्छे से कम्युनिकेट करो. जैसे अभी स्टार्टअप कंपटीशन था थोड़ी देर पहले, तो कैसा था, यू हैव टू स्टेट एन आइडिया. आपका आइडिया क्या है, एवरीबडी शुड बी एबल टू रिलेट टू दैट. देन व्हाट इज योर सोल्यूशन टू दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम यू प्रेजेंटेड इन दैट आइडिया, वो बताया. बाद में आपने उसका फाइनेंशियल बताया. सो देयर इज अ थॉट स्ट्रक्चर टू इट. सो एनीथिंग यू आर सेइंग, यू आर प्रेजेंटिंग, मेक श्योर देयर इज अ स्ट्रक्चर टू इट. Okay, that you'll develop from practice. Obviously again I'm saying practice a lot, but वो जरूरी है उसके लिए. Okay, so how do you actually, so अभी इतना सब तो हमने बात कर लिया कि एक अच्छा कम्युनिकेटर क्या होता है, कम्युनिकेशन क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है, कम्युनिकेशन क्या होता है, 7 C's of communication, right? Now starting today, what you can do is, first thing is practice writing and show it to your friends. That's how I did it. One of the things, I used to write a lot of things, I used to email it to my friends, and people who were like, I know that they were better communicator, their grammar was very good, so I used to send it to them. They used to correct it for me like word ke andar, and they used to send it back to me. I'm like, okay, yeah, yahan pe maine mistake kiya hai, do it again, do it again, do it again. So that you can do starting today. Like pick a topic, start writing about that. Okay, send it to your teachers, send it to your friends, send it to your relatives who are better communicator or who have good English or whatever, right? You can do that and practice there. Okay, that's one. That's for written. Second is record yourself. Mirror के सामने खड़े रहो and record yourself. like record like every day. You can do like every 2-3 days you can talk about like Independence Day है तो इसके बारे में choose a particular topic. Just randomly कुछ भी बोलना शुरू मत करो, decide करो. Okay, all these things, remember all these things, like you have to be these things, you have to be knowledgeable. So अगर आप record कर रहे हो कुछ तो पहले knowledge लो उसके बारे में कि मैं Independence Day के बारे में बोल रहा हूँ तो मेरे को थोड़ा पढ़ने दो, मैं उसके बारे में knowledge लूंगा, थोड़ा research करूंगा और फिर बोलूंगा वैसा. Okay, but record yourself so that you listen to yourself, you listen to your expressions, and then give it to your 3-4 people कि मेरे को बताना कि इसके अंदर मैं क्या better कर सकता हूँ, how can I improve. You can start doing that. That will boost your confidence a lot. Initially maybe 1 month 10-15 times थोड़ा embarrassment होगा, but it's okay. Start with your close circle, people who won't judge you. Okay, start with your close circle. If you want to send it to me also, you can send it to me as well. Okay. Third thing is reading. Reading is very important. अगर आपका reading का habit नहीं है तो try to get that habit right now before it's too late, because after a point in time it's very difficult to pick that habit up. Okay, so reading will help you a lot. It will improve your vocabulary, it will improve your knowledge, it will improve your sentence structure, it will improve your imagination, all of that. So reading is very important. I have 2 books recommendation which you can read, but any book, reading anything is important. Okay, then participate in group discussions, debate, give speeches to your friends, all of that. Do all those activities. Even if you suck, it's fine. Okay, after you suck in 5 debate competitions, the 6th one you'll be very good. All those people आप जो देख रहे हो ना debate के अंदर जो अच्छे हैं, they have practiced, they've already sucked somewhere else. Some people have sucked at their home in front of their parents. Okay, some people have failed somewhere else. So सब लोग वो same journey सबको करना तो है ही है. So you have to practice that. Participate in those group discussions. Participate. आपके friends जो है उनके साथ बैठ के एक दिन ऐसे ही phone call करो कि we'll talk about this topic, whether it's in Hindi, whether it's in English, it's up to you. Okay. Confidence. Building confidence is very important, and I'm not going to answer that question because that itself is a topic completely different which you have to address. But whatever it takes, build your confidence. What I do for confidence is कि अभी मैं कुछ कर रहा हूँ और वो अगर embarrassing हुआ, will people remember 2 years from now or 5 years from now? Most likely not. So 5 years from now, nobody's going to remember this thing anyway. So it's okay. I'll give it a try. अगर थोड़ा issue होगा तो होगा, not a problem. And that confidence about writing or speaking in public. That's what it's about. Recording के अलावा you can stand in front of mirror and practice reading out loud or speaking out loud. Do those things. And then always be learning. That's another point which is very important. Like never think that सीख लिया सब कुछ और आपको सब पता है. Never. The day you do that na, the day your basically your advancement in your career or in your life is over. These are the online sources which I like. So like the reason I put this Abhi in you, has anybody seen this Instagram or YouTube channel?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's not about the language, the English or anything else. It's about presenting that knowledge, providing evidence and presenting it in a very good flow, short manner, understanding their audience. So that is a good example. There are TED channels which you can watch. You can, like, if
Yes,
you
sir.
started listening to podcasts, listen to podcasts. अगर आपका Google Android phone है, then there is like Google Podcast, या फिर Spotify है. अगर आपके पास Apple है तो Apple Podcast है. YouTube पे भी podcast वगैरह होते हैं. Start listening to the podcast. Like when you're traveling, you can listen to the podcast instead of music. तो आपको knowledge भी आएगा और overall ये चीजें भी आपको पता चलेगी communication related. Right? Watch some online series, play games like Taboo or Scrabble, watch TED Talks, watch videos from Simon Sinek. He is also a very good speaker. You can watch some videos from that. I've added 2 links as well for your grammar. And you can also download apps which gives you new words every day. Like, you don't have to learn all the complicated words. You need to have a good enough vocabulary. Okay. And then these are 2 books which it's a must read. Like from 30-40 साल से ये books recommend होती जा रही है. These books have been written, I think, in 1960s, 1970s. Okay, maybe even earlier. One of them. So ये दोनों book है ना आपको पढ़ना ही है, like without any doubt. Hope you guys had fun. Keep practicing. Keep learning.